Hello, my name is Richard Jones. For this week's presentation, I chose BP and Deepwater Horizon disaster. One thing that kind of sparked interest on ethics in my life is it's kind of important. Ethics is, I would say, a journey to all ends. It's the most important thing that reflects all business. Me being in business myself, I feel ethics is important in all aspects, from how you introduce yourself to what kind of business you actually run itself. I believe ethics is the foundation of the business side of things, as well as the right and wrong between good and evil. If you don't have ethics in a business, it's not going to hurt you in any way, shape, or form. But I think having that basis of ethics actually makes makes a whole business with inside of you. I think it sets you for a better understanding and a better foundation. This week's back to the discussion. I chose the Deepwater Horizon disaster. Everybody knows they've all seen the movie Deepwater Horizon. That was very emotional, very supportive. It kind of went over some touching subjects as well. Everybody knows what happened. Obviously, BP, they kind of loaned out their wells to another corporation, and what they did is kind of run it. So they would pay them to run it for them. And within that, unfortunately, there was a disaster that happened. And on April 1st, um, that disaster actually caused an explosion at the bottom of the sea when they were trying to cap one of the oil drills, and the explosion, so much pressure and gas built up and formed an explosion that went through the tubes that kind of erupted and ignited the natural gas outside of the tubes on Deepwater Horizon to cause an explosion. Unfortunately, 11 people were killed. Biggest disaster for oil spills in the world nationwide. Um, it was very sad, and I'm sure like I said before, everybody saw the movie, and it was emotional, very touching subject. But enough about that. It's actually towards the ethical side of what BP did and how they went around it. Now, it's funny to see all these different companies that what would they have done if that happened to them. Unfortunately, this is one of the situations where it's uncontrollable. It is something that happens that they weren't regulated. They had all these implementations that were set for other offsite drillings for other companies, and they should have followed that, and they didn't. They skipped out on mandated applications that they needed to do for new drilling, for safety hatches, for all other aspects of the safety awareness, and they didn't. They initially forgot to. And I think that's what caused them to for that methane gas to be released and actually exploded. So, what happens in one aspect is, obviously the situation exploded, and the best thing to do is the after effect. What is going to affect myself or everybody else, and them actually coming out and helping out the families, and like helping out everything else. I mean, in the end, they had $20 billion in safe funds to give to everything. They owed $9.3 billion to the government, because it was like 5,000. They owed $3,000 per 1,000 barrels that were released, and I think they said on average it was about 7 to 9,000 barrels a day that were released. So it totaled up, and then it kind of fluctuated because the size of the crater actually got a little bit bigger and everything as that. Now, the possible ethical resolutions that I can imagine. Well, first off, they they should have followed product, and they should have followed protocol, and they should have started from that beginning, because them having implementations in place to stop things that initially could cause death or some kind of destruction, which is the largest oil spill in the world. This could have been stopped a long time ago. This could have been resolved a while ago. And I think implementation's been an effect of them following protocol, following ethical decisions, having the knowledge and the money, because they have the resources to do it, and being regulated by the government or anybody that's like they're working with. They need to be better on managing their product as well as their resources going forth towards a new industry. If they're building a new fleet, of oil drills, then that needs to be regulated. Everything needs to be down to the dollar or down to the screw needs to be implemented with some kind of government agency or something that matter because 11 people were killed. BP had owe millions of dollars towards local restaurants, fishermen, businesses that were affected, as well as families. They paid out $9 million of family, and that was their settlement towards them. Now, you can't equivalent life to anything kind of dollar value, but at least they did something, in my aspect. And do I agree with anything that happened? No, because it took about 2.5 to 3 years to resolve, and it's still going on. So we talk today. Now back to our peer evaluations. Some of the things I want to touch on. I feel as going Natasha, John, and Hannah. I think are probably ones that would agree most with me, and I think Natasha and John would be more the ones who are on kind of the border fence. And I saw a couple of topics and discussions about how I believe in things and how they believe in things. I believe John would have agreed with what I was saying towards BP. They need to resolve some issues and everything in that place, as well as Natasha. I think she would have done the same thing. But my full aspect would have been to Hannah. I think she would have agreed 100% with what I was thinking and how it would have been resolved and how the ethical issues that would have been implemented in place could have actually been a plus to BP as well as the surrounding Gulf of Mexico. Uh, um, now, like I said before, I do agree with Hannah, and I think that her and I are very, very pristine on our beliefs and ideas and everything in nature. So, but I appreciate you guys, everything y'all done this semester. You guys have a great rest of your career and enjoy.